Good day, grade 8 student. I am your teacher in Mathematics A. I am Miss Marmar F. Vigalan, graduate in Batangas State University, Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Mathematics. Mathematical concepts, rules, and properties of number will not be easy to understand without working knowledge of algebraic symbols and expressions. Algebra make use of these symbols and expressions so that the word phrases can be translated into number phrases into word phrases. This also fundamentals in forming generalization needed to solve all types of problems. In this module covers key concepts in factoring and rational algebraic expressions of polynomial. In lesson 1, you will factor polynomial completely using different rules and technique in factoring, including solving problems involving factoring. The second lesson will describe the rational algebraic expressions and simplify rational algebraic expression. In the third lesson, you will perform operations on rational algebraic expression and solve problems involving rational expression. It is divided into 4 lessons. We have the linear equation in 2 variables, graph of a linear equation in 2 variables, linear inequalities in 2 variables, relation, and function. In lesson 5, you should illustrate the rectangular coordinate system and its uses, and also the linear equation in 2 variables. You're going to find the slope of the line given 2 points, given an equation, and given the graph. In lesson 6, you're going to write the standard form of the linear equation in the form of the slope-intercept form and vice versa. And also you're going to graph a linear equation using any 2 points, using the y and the x-intercept. And lastly, we have the slope and the point of the line. Then, describe the graph of the linear equation in terms of its intercept and the slope. In lesson 7, you're going to identify the linear inequalities in 2 variables from the linear equation in 2 variables. And then, illustrate and graph the linear inequalities in 2 variables. You should also given an opportunity to solve problems involving linear inequalities in 2 variables. Lesson 8, we have the relation and function. You're going to illustrate the relation and the function. And then, you're going to verify the relation if it is a function. And also, you're going to determine the dependent and independent variables. Then, you're going to find the domain and the range of a function. Also, you're going to graph and illustrate the linear function and its domain, range, table of values, intercepts, and the slope. You should also learn how to solve problems involving linear functions. So 4 lessons that we're going to discuss. It is all about reasoning and proof, equivalence of the if-then statement, mathematical system and geometry, parallelism and perpendicularity. And also you're going to illustrate the equivalence of the statement and if contrapositive and the converse and the inverse of the statement. Then, use the inductive or deductive reasoning of the argument. And you should learn how to write a proof, both direct and indirect. And also you're going to illustrate the equivalence of the statement and if contrapositive and the converse and the inverse of the statement. Then, use the inductive or deductive reasoning of the argument. And you should learn how to write a proof, both direct and indirect. In lesson 11, we have the mathematical system and geometry. You're going to describe a mathematical system and illustrate the need of mathematical system in general and geometry, in particular the defined term, undefined term, postulates, and theorem. Lesson 12, we have the parallelism and perpendicularity. We have to prove properties of parallel lines cut by a transversal. Then, you're going to determine the condition under which lines and segments are parallel or perpendicular. In the 4th quarter, we're going to have the triangle congruence, corresponding part of congruent triangles, triangle inequalities, and theorem on triangle inequalities. In lesson 13, triangle congruence, you're going to illustrate triangle congruence and the SAS, ASA, and SSS congruence postulate. Lesson 14, corresponding part of congruent triangle. You will learn how to solve corresponding part of congruent triangles. Then prove 2 triangles are congruent. Prove the statement of a triangle congruent. Then apply triangle congruent to construct perpendicular lines and angle bisectors. Lesson 14, corresponding part of congruent triangle. You will learn how to solve corresponding part of congruent triangles. Then prove two triangles are congruent. Prove the statement of a triangle congruent. Then apply triangle congruent to construct perpendicular lines and angle bisectors. In the combined lesson 15 and 16, the triangle inequality, you will learn how to illustrate theorem in triangle inequality and apply the theorem on triangle inequalities, then prove inequalities in a triangle.